sky. Now, this is very distressing, very sad, very sad news. One of the guardsmen who was shot outside of one of the buildings in D.C. was killed. She died from her injuries. Her name was Sarah Beckstrom. She was, in her 20s, I think it was. She, along with another guardsman who is fighting for his life right now, Andrew Wolf. They are both, at high regard right now because she, of course, has, succumbed from her injuries, but he is still fighting for his life. And the person responsible is Rahmanullah Lakanwal. If I pronounced that wrong, too bad for him. He's just a terrible, horrific, ugly human being, just awful. And these are patriots. These are people that defend this country, that signed up, that put the right hand in the air, like I have. I'm a Marine, so I know what that life is like. Not sure what it's like to stand guard and potentially be shot by some miscreant, some brute. So, what is this case about? This shooter being a part of the CIA. This is what gets things very greasy. Things get very goofy and very greasy when you talk about how he was connected with the CIA. He was granted asylum last year. He had immigrated here in 2021 after the Taliban had taken over Afghanistan. In that botched, exit from Afghanistan by President Biden. He was attached to troops over in Afghanistan, and this is what's so very dangerous. You think somebody's like an interpreter or somebody like of that nature, or, some kind of a person that's on the opposite side, or wearing the uniform of the Afghan forces or something like that. You think they're going to be, your friend. You think they're going to be a good person. You think they're going to be all right. But in reality, you have to absolutely check for these kinds of individuals because they could be potential murderers, like we've seen with this past slaying. I think it's very sad because I think Trump is probably, he's going down as the worst president in history. Second would probably be President Barack Obama. It goes on and on from there, but he's probably the worst. He's saying he's gonna stop all travel of people from quote unquote third world countries. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think they don't even use the word third world country anymore. I doubt that they even use that anymore. I think they use developing nations. They use the words developing nations instead. It gets to a point where it's very trying, very difficult to get to this point where Trump is saying something like the ironies just keep piling up. He sent guardsmen and guardswomen. I don't know if you say guardswomen, guards members, members of the National Guard to various cities around the country to clean up the crime, which is ironic because in a lot of those cities the crime has declined over the past few years. So for him to send troops to D.C., it's very ironic because D.C. has had the ability to reorganize itself. It's not in a depressed state. It's not in a terrible state as it once was. Maybe in the late 80s, early 90s, or something like that. Maybe even in the early 2000s. So it's a totally different world. It's a totally different game. Totally different. And Trump is just completely inept in doing this. And the young woman's life should not be, a political standpoint for him to address his concerns, quote unquote, for the various cities around this country. And her death, was not in vain. I don't think her death was in vain, because she signed up to do this. She knew that her life would be in peril at one point in time, possibly. She was trained to know that. And sadly, her life was stolen from her at the height of it. Dylan Yamel, hi, Dylan. Are you familiar with this story, Dylan? You familiar with this story? This is big news coming out of the United States of America. Salute to Wizard. I have to say salute to Wizard. I didn't. Everywhere I look at the time, everywhere I looked, I said, okay, I'm not doing anything until I get a further update. And this is the first update. I might have to do another update with Andrew Wolf, whatever his condition is going to be. I'll probably do another update on that. But yeah. So very serious story, very somber, very grabs at your mind, grabs at your thoughts, and it just and Trump says she's looking down on us. Like, well, he's definitely not a Christian, because they say to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. But what does that mean? And then the second thing is, they say that you don't even die and go to heaven. Is you have to wait for the awakening. Everyone has to be called. So he's definitely not a Christian. According to their mythology, that's not how that works. But anyway, yeah, Beckstrom's family, I think her father was kind of distraught. He's in the news. He's saying that my baby girl is no longer. I'm paraphrasing here. No longer here, or something like that. But the guardswoman, who is this? Arlem 81. Hello, Arlem. Hello. But yeah. So this is a very serious situation. Not to if I've written, it's only in politicization against frustration, because Trump is saying that he's banning people from developing countries, or he's screening them. Declare war first. Declare war on a country, then you can say all that. Then you can go back and say that you don't want people coming in from this country. Say there's a declare war on these countries. Then you can start banning people. That would make the most sense. But you can't just start banning people willy-nilly. You don't have a war you're fighting against the country or anything like that. It's just a conundrum wrapped in an enigma, boxed into a puzzle. I mean, it's just it's disturbing. It's completely disturbing. It's absolutely disturbing. And Sarah Beckstrom, Sarah Beckstrom, she had plans. She was an honor student in high school. She gravitated towards the military, wanted to be a guardsman. She had plans for her life. She was in the prime of her life, early 20s. She's in the prime of her life. She had everything going for her. That's what's so sad. And with Andrew Wolf, you gotta be pulling for him to live. Hopefully he doesn't succumb to his injuries. Autumn says, I just came on your live and I'm new to your live and gonna subscribe to you. Thank you. Thank you. Salute to you. Thank you for the subscription. I appreciate it. Make sure you tell friends. Make sure you tell other people about me, Arlen. Make sure you tell other people about me as well. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's just disgusting. It's really disgusting. It is disturbing. It says that the shooter, I'm not even going to say his name again, entered the U.S. in 2021 under Biden's Operation Allies Welcome program. And at the time, yes, he was an ally. He was working closely with the CIA. He's working closely with the CIA. So, and this is going to be treated, I think, as a terrorist attack. I think this is going to be treated as a terrorist attack. And I'm not sure. I said that he could face the death penalty. I think that Janet Pirro said that he could face death if one of them dies. It could be considered a homicide, a murder. If they die, he could get the death penalty for his actions. That's pretty big. I mean, that would be extraordinary. I hope they have. I think they have him under custody. I think they have him in custody. I didn't see anywhere. I was just focused on the young lady whose life was stolen from her, right from under her. Said it is he was in support of the whole notion of being in United States, under their supervision. That was his whole, modus operandi. His whole function was to help out and aid the United States and the CIA especially. They had ties, and that's the one. That's the ones that you have to really out for. You have to really look out for those ones that are traitorous, that'll commit treason. Treacherous. This is what CIA Director John Ratcliffe said. In the wake of the disastrous Biden withdrawal from Afghanistan, see, that's why I went to politicalization, because he said this. Biden withdrawal from Afghanistan. The Biden administration justified bringing the alleged shooter to the United States in September 2021 due to his prior work with the U.S. government, including CIA, as a member of a partner force in Kandahar, which ended shortly following the chaotic evacuation. Exactly. What am I talking about? Since you're subscribing, I'm going to give you the information. I'm talking about a guardswoman or guard, United States National Guard member who was killed in the line of duty. She actually was, eventually she would die. She was shot and then she succumbed from her injuries. So that's what I'm talking about right now. Arlem. If I'm saying that right, is it Arlem? Is that right? Since you subscribed, I appreciate it. Yes, he is in custody. He is in custody. Investigators believe he was the only gunman. There were no others involved. U.S. Attorney for District of Janine, that's her name. I said Janet, I think. Janine Pirro said a responding guardsman, Jesus Christ, shot and wounded the suspect. He was hospitalized and placed under heavy guard, she said. No motive has been established in the shooting as of Thursday morning. The alleged gunman was severely wounded before being taken into custody, President Donald Trump posted in his Truth Social account Wednesday afternoon. Trump later said the heinous assault was an act of evil and an act of hatred and an act of terror. It was a crime against our entire nation. It was a crime against humanity. Okay. He just likes to pour sauce and stuff. Okay, who is this? Castvas? What's up, cuh? I'm not your cuh, but okay. Nah, you tripping. Detective. I don't even know what that means, but all right, thank you. Make sure you subscribe. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Tell somebody else to subscribe too. Um, yeah, that's it for that. I'm looking for the exact news stories. They're gonna block me from watching the Washington Post, the New York Times, the LA Times, but not the Times of India. Times of India be the truth. Let me make sure my hand is on correctly. Nah, I don't feel it like it. Make me. Okay, then don't. I'm not gonna make you. Then don't, please. Why are you here then? Why even come to my live if you're not gonna be a participatory agent? You're just gonna, muck up the live feed. Why do that? What's your point? What is the whole point of doing that? I never understood why people do that. Oh yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't feel like it. Make me. Okay. They're still looking for a motive. Why the shooter? I mean, they have some names. These are some names. Like, they're very simple names. There's like uh Xi Ping or something like that. Xi Ping. Very simple. Xiping. John Smith. JOHNSMITH. Very simple words. Very simple names. Rahmanullah Lakanwal. I said his name again, but I had to say just to clarify. He worked as a delivery driver for Amazon Flex as an independent contractor. I have people in my family that do that. There's a person that was close to him, a childhood friend, that said when he saw blood, bodies, and the wounded, he could not tolerate it. The friend told the New York Times it put a lot of pressure on his mind. So why did he kill these young people? Who's this? Void? What's up, Void? How you doing? What's going on? Let's get this up to about 200 people, 2,000 people, 200,000 people on the live. Make sure you tell other people. Let's get to 200,000 people on the live. 200,000 people jumping up in the live. Make sure you tell a friend. Tell somebody about this stream. It just, oh God. It's so disturbing. It's such a disturbing story. Because these are people in the youngest ages in the military. That's what, the young people fight the wars. If you lead past, if you're going from a lieutenant, you can become a general one day, but you're gonna have to, go through war first. You're gonna have to go through some serious training on that pathway to becoming a general. Hell, she could have been a general in the National Guard. She could have switched over from the enlisted to the officer ranks. Been very simple. It's very sad. Very sad. Interesting though. Very interesting story because it's so random. It seems. It just seems so random that this would ever happen. Like, why did this happen? Why did this have to occur? But I tell you this much: she was prepared. She was ready. She was probably taken way off guard. It was probably some sucker shots. He probably didn't even aim it correctly. Just happened to hit her. Allegedly, I don't know. Trump is now thinking about deporting the family of Lankanwal. We had to commit this atrocity after an atrocity already took place How does that even happen? What is that about? How do you say, oh, I'm just gonna kick the whole family out because this one person? You don't do that for people in America. That's a complete violation of rights, as I understand it. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'm just saying, going off of just sense of the situation. You don't send the whole family over to Afghanistan because of one person's actions. I mean, right? I mean, I've never even heard of that before. I never even took that into account before. I never even thought about that. I don't know. So, and it's something to grow with, and it's something to definitely, consider and take into account because it's very horrific. That's a weird thing too. Horror and terror. You can say horrific, but terrific seems good. That's a weird thing. Strange. I just had to think of that. Um, amid the blame, okay, they're messing. The blame game between the Biden administration, and Trump administration, as the shooter entered in 2021 and got asylum in 2024. I saw he was. This is reporting that he got in 2025, but I saw 2024. Yeah, this is serious business. This is really serious business. She was only 20 years old. U.S. Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom, 20, had been in the service for just over 2 years when she was shot and killed in the nation's capital. The president said in a call to service members on Thanksgiving. He described the young soldier who volunteered to work over the holiday as outstanding in every way. The suspect in the shooting, I'm going to say the name again, if I can get rid of these goddamn ads. Rahmanullah Lakanwal, 29, an Afghan national who officials say came to the United States in 2021 under a program implemented by the Biden administration following the U.S. military withdrawal from Afghanistan. The suspect, who was also wounded and taken to the hospital, authorities said. He worked with the CIA. That's the ones. That's like the hoe in the hood. The female get you set up. She'll be the one. She'll be the main one. The main one, thinking it's all gravy, all sweet, everything's cool, and they turn out to be. They turn out to be. They turn out to be completely, corrupt. They can turn out to be traitors. Not traitors, Traders, Traitors. Traitors. In the worst way. In the worst way possible. This is just a horrific event that has transpired over the last few hours. It's just ugly. It's just disturbing. I mean, she was only 20 years old. Jesus Christ. 20 years old. And it seemed like she knew what she wanted to be because she probably entered when she was probably 17 or 18 when she entered into the services. And, she was expected to, possibly, if it came to it, she would go to a foreign land and fight for her country and die, possibly. But I don't think, and all her, maybe she did cross her mind as a guardsman, but for the most part, I don't think she ever considered being injured or killed on her own home soil. She knew she could probably get, hit by rocks, or, you know, get a canister of tear gas thrown at her or something like that. But nothing of this extent, nothing in this regard. You know, that's just the reality of it. That's the truth. So you have to take into this. You have to take this into account. All the way. You can't just take little snippets of it. You can't take little bites. You gotta tell it like it is, completely and totally. So I just think that, there's a great deal of sadness, over this country, even on, a happy and festive holiday as Thanksgiving. It kind of, put a damper on this time period, Black Friday. But millions of people still go out shopping. That's why she died. Not for them, for her own life, but because on behalf of her and others like her and the people that, they can buy the cheapest product for the best price. They can get the greatest, little contraptions and clothing and everything like that, and not even really think about her so much. Rest in peace. She's with God now. She's with Jesus. She's in the bosom of Abraham now. She's at the gates of St. Peter. Just whatever. But it's true. It's like Black Friday and Small Business Saturday and Cyber Monday and all this stuff. Sarah Beckstrom can't participate. She can't participate. She knows she was selfish. She was rational. She wanted to save her own life. She wanted to save the life of her fellow guardsman, Andrew Wolf. She continued. She fought on. She fought. She had been shot by a .357 pistol, which is a pretty serious caliber pistol, revolver. And she was shot, and she sustained the injuries and lived as long as she possibly could. She had enough power to keep her going. But she succumbed. But she had strength enough to have that. Nope. Abby Bindar, you give me I don't know if I can do this. I don't know where I can do this. Hold on. Let me see something. I don't know what the hell I can do.